Folks, sometimes, like Naval says, you just gotta hit freaking record. So we're back a year later, next episode of Luke the Duke Show. Welcome back. Thanks for watching. My goodness, how have things changed? The last episode, who was who was our president was not even our president at the time. What a change, can I just say? Um, Wild times. So since today is July 12th, a lot of things have happened. The big beautiful bill and so on. Market's heating up, market's cooling down, great things are happening. For example, if you happen to be, now that AI is such a big thing, in the CoreWeave IPO, which I bought one share for about $30, and I hit like 500%. Every once in a while, you kind of wish you bet the house on something. Mergers are back up. I think OpenAI just bought a huge chunk of a company, buying people like they are companies, not buying people, but buying people. I mean, 200 million bucks you're bought paid for. They're shelling out all kinds of money, which is pretty insane to be such a young billionaire and be giving people $200 million contracts to come build super intelligence with you. But good for them. In fact, while we're on the topic, because we're just doing what we want here, where's the search bar? What is Meta up to? I mean, if they're saying they're going to be spending what, $1 billion on people, I don't even know. I mean, even two things. I bet you people would be trading off that. Well, that's something. Year to date, still holding 20%. Okay, what a time to be alive. But Meta shelling out all kinds of money as far as AI news, which I think is that's the news to be watching these days. I mean, 6 months hanging in, 5 days, a percent of how big of a company. Can we just get the financials quick? Holy, I'll be honest, I'm surprised by her. 1.8. Wait, Meta. 2 billion shares out and about. Let's get into it. Anyway, so Meta shelling out big money for intelligence, OpenAI making acquisitions, Perplexity and talks about getting acquired, Apple still dropping the absolute flipping ball on in every regard. New class action lawsuit filed by, you even just get this pulled up, filed by their investors against Apple for dropping the ball so bad on Siri. Apple from their investors. Siri, tell me about it, Perplexity. Also, take a look at the all-new, built on Chromium, Comet by Perplexity. I highly recommend as a browser once it fully rolls out to everybody. But they're doing so bad at AI, it's unbelievable. Apple is currently facing a major class action lawsuit brought by investors who allege the company misled shareholders about the capabilities and time-life AI-based Siri features promised for the 16 and related. Investors claim Apple overstated its AI investments at the 2024 WWDC, Worldwide Developers Conference, marketing Apple Intelligence and enhanced Siri's imminent features for iPhone 16. If you remember at the time, they were making absolute headlines by all this partnership with ChatGPT, and it's going to be integrated. I don't think anybody's using Siri. Nobody talks about Siri. Nobody talks about OpenAI and Siri. Absolutely nothing happening there. They dropped the ball so bad on it, and Tim Cook, that they're getting sued. A U.S. District Court by one shareholder. Eric Tucker. Eric Tucker owns how much? I mean, you hope it'd be a small fish to fry, but I doubt it. I mean, I'm not sure what'll happen. They're talking about switching the whole thing over to Mistral or Schutter's and Chevrolet. Anyways, mergers and acquisitions back online, big time, big money. I mean, you can pull up a graph on how big the server farms are getting and the money spent on it, and individual companies saying over 5-10 years we're going to drop $30 billion. Several notable deals: Toyota acquired Radius Recycling. Who would have thought? This is just general, not from just AI. Quanterix Corp acquired Acquia, $724 billion value in the Americas, up 23%. I mean, we were down to nothing there for a while. I said CoreWeave, also Circle Internet. Also, the legislation passed in the House and or Senate about stablecoins. Speaking of another IPO that went absolutely insane. Technology outperformed for the third month driven by strong demand for AI and robust earnings, even with all the capex that they're putting into the market. Both sectors up double-digit gains, industrials and communications industrials. That's got to be my favorite. Ooh, over AI. It is, but it's a small lead. Energy and healthcare both lagged. Energy down 9%, healthcare down 8%. Probably makes sense if there's less money flowing into it. Consumer discretionary and utilities, moderate gains. Yeah, well, I guess energy and utilities, they count different. I think most people consider that the same. All-time highs. First time a company closed over a $4 trillion market cap. I mean, that's astonishing. I immediately just want to divide it up by gold and see how many ounces of gold it's worth compared to what it was before. Let's do it. I don't want to mess up our train of thought, so I'll bolt the assistant to it. What in ounces of gold now versus over the past? Well, yeah, I was going to add other companies too, but we just want to see what that is. Gotta love 720p recording, right? 20 sources by Perplexity. Fantastic. We're doing double perplexities here. Anyways, all-time highs, weak retail sales, but people don't care. Bond returns were positive as interest rates declined. Only a slight amount. Obviously, Trump wants interest rates going down. I think they need to be going up. That's a lot of ounces of gold. That's not going to make too much sense. A decade ago, NVIDIA's value was about 11.3 million ounces of gold, or 180. Actually, not even now. They were. Do it all. Price of gold. We need to have it set standard. 60. U.S. economy contracted on a 0.5% annualized rate in Q1, mainly due to surge imports ahead of new tariffs. Durable goods orders surged in May, far above expectations. Although Trump sent out new letters for new tariffs, a lot of places in Asia getting new tariffs. Canada, again, they're back on the docket. Put their socialist guy in place who basically won his race on a campaign of anti-Trumpness, and it's trying to be too helpful. Put that one up a little. The U.S. energy sector is one of my favorites right now. We're talking about, also, in case you didn't know, Virginia, I believe, North Carolina, one of those two, is the #1 place for AI data centers right now, and it's not particularly close. So Black Hills Energy, maybe, pretty sure they cut into Virginia if it's not just North Carolina, might be killing it. Might be signing a lot of deals. I know Meta signed a deal, OpenAI signed a deal, Grok, XAI has signed deals. I don't know about the rest of them, but I do know that Grok specifically, they just have their own gas turbines on site. Natural gas powered turbines. They just stack them up to power the world's largest supercomputer, I believe, which is Colossus. But the U.S. energy sector is undergoing significant change. Wind and solar together generate more than coal for the first time. That's astonishing in the U.S., reaching 70% of total generation. Solar grew by 27% with battery storage supporting it. Shout out to all the, heavy metals, but also rare earth metals, specifically in the rare earth magnets, with increasing liquid natural gas exports out to Texas. My goodness, did they pump that stuff in and out. And a temporary uptick in coal use expected to raise CO2 emissions slightly this year. Buy your carbon credits, Crimea River. The sector faced the challenges of new tariffs and reduction in tax credits for renewables. That's amazing. Enough of the tax credits for everybody. I think if you had a law that said if we are under 100% debt to GDP, which right now we're at 125 is my guess. I have live betting sponsored by Stake. Thanks. Appreciate it. Free ebook download. I need an X on that. Click on it if you just leave me alone. U.S. trade deficit with China, U.S. imported oil. Also, random thing I heard, shout out to Peter Schiff. We just put tariffs on Brazil because they treated Bolsonaro bad, which they should treat him better, but why are we tariffing them just based on that? They added a Doge clock. We had, probably not anymore, a slight trade surplus with Brazil. Still tariffed them. Isn't that great? You guys don't look, I'll find it. Debt to GDP, now 123%. Wow, is I so flipping close. At least we're not Japan. So I could be on here. M2 money supply, there we go. 100,000 million billion, 22 trillion. That's a general measure of the amount of currency units or dollars that are just out in the system. Man, if you've ever looked at this before and look at it now, I mean, this is a great number to know. U.S. total debt, a little bit more than they tell you, right? They say 36 trillion, I believe. 37, man, I'm on it. I should do this more often. U.S. total debt, because you have unfunded liabilities, like the liability to the government as far as the balance sheet being out of the money they make. This amount goes to Medicare, Medicaid, things like that. That's not backed by anything. It's basically just a giant hole. So besides the actual normal debt, basically bonds that we owe to everybody in the world, especially to China, you also have stuff here at home you have to pay for, like Medicare, Medicaid, that has no backing because Bush or Clinton didn't switch over to a privatized system where they invest the money and they would have been, oh man, if there was alternate timelines. Basically, that's most of it. The stuff we still have to pay for in the U.S. total debt. That's not even considering this. We're spending $7 trillion. Get this out of here. So energy sector, drop the tax credits. If we can get U.S. debt to GDP, if we cut 25% off that number, that is a huge number. Then I'm fine if we throw out some tax credits. I think it should be below that. Like, why spend 100%? Can we get 95? Do I hear 95? Anybody 95? 95%, please? U.S. debt to GDP. If you drop it, give them all the tax credits. I'd be so happy with that incentive. Anyways, reduction in tax credits for renewables. Thank goodness. They won't get better if they're getting tax credits. They're just going to sell the tax credits. The entire solar industry is built off tax credits. That's why every freaking house in California has solar panels on it. Hector faced challenging new tariffs as well. Ensuring clean generation keeps pace with rising demand. Weird. Bring up nuclear. Why don't you? Perplexity. Do that next time. Another number you didn't know. IPO activity surging. 183 IPOs, 89% increase. I wrote an article a long time ago that might be on my X account still. I moved a lot of my articles over from my blog, Minuteman Media, on Wix, which is now just a Wix site. We'll come back to that later. But the percentage of IPOs, take a guess how many were just not making any money. They were going through an IPO, initial public offering, with net negative cash flow. And a lot, but people just like the idea and they can just keep raising money. That's going to catch up to you at some point, especially with this AI stuff. I mean, they just sink so much money into it and don't monetize for a while. A lot of freemium, a lot of those server bills. 89% increase over the same period last year. Recent listings include Blue Mountain Holdings, Delexi Holdings, and Max. Max is making ink. Almond, THW, and Aura Minerals. At least we have Aura Minerals. I believe they just signed some contracts with the U.S. Department of Defense just for heavy metals and rare earth minerals. Not too sure about that. Let's get into the biggie. Like I said, I should have checked before this. Last podcast, 2 years ago, it might have been when the Middle East started extremely popping off. I've ever pulled up the maps going over it, but now we're at the point. I mean, Trump's swinging for the fences, man. Big, beautiful bill, market impact. Poised to reshape U.S. energy and infrastructure. If they get one thing, and I got this from the All In podcast, if there's one thing that they do, it is expand the U.S. energy production by order of magnitude. That might make all the difference in the world. China currently apparently is adding 1 U.S. worth of energy production every 18 months to their energy grid. The entire U.S. every 18 months. Everything that we've done in 240 years, all the power that we produce, 18 months China adds it, 18 months China adds it, 18 months China adds it again. And we are not doing that. So if they streamline, it's going to be nuclear. Don't even get me started. That'll be on a different episode where we just go all out to nuclear reactors. The companies that build small modular reactors, the nuclear salt ones that use the fuel, where the fuel comes from, what fuel we could use, what fuel we do use, where we're going to put them, how we're going to use them, how are you going to get a nuclear reactor in your house, in your utility closet. That was a random post that I saw. That's something. Let's get like a couple cities on nuclear first. Let's get some small modular reactors put in, some Thors and Odins out there. Oh, it's going to be great if we do it, but they're streamlining it. Removal of tax credits for wind and solar, thank goodness, which is about to slow investment in those areas. New tariffs. We're going to unleash American energy. Man, I hope so. Man, you hope so. If energy, and this could happen, if energy became as thought about as little as minutes on your phone because there's so much of it, set. I promise you, you'll be happy with that, and I swear that it's possible. Direct quotes. Now, this is important because I don't think I've heard a single direct quote from the BBB, the budget-busting bill, which is really what it is, guys. If we make a prudent multi-year investments in better roads, bridges, transit systems, and high-speed internet, and a modern, resilient electric grid, here's what will happen. It breaks up the bottlenecks in our economy. Goods get to consumers more rapidly and less expensively. Small businesses create and innovate much more seamlessly. I don't know. Why are we in 2025 saying we need to spend government money on roads and high-speed internet, especially at the federal level? and the electric grid. The electric grid, we should have been talking about that, handling that, right? In 2010, it's 2025. We're trying to put AI in everything, and we have not put 5 seconds thought into our grid. It sucks. It might all be California's fault. That's true. That's a great point, you in the back. Like, we're finally saying this is insane. Build more nuclear reactors. Let those companies absolutely have at it. Like, if you're going to have a tax credit for something, make it something. If you're going to do something, I mean, I feel like it just should be nuclear. I mean, why something as inefficient as wind and solar that's seasonal, and then on the batteries on it, we just go nuclear? I digress. There you go. Direct quote. Goods get to consumers more rapidly, less expensively. And then we tariffed it. Are we doing hyperloops, or are we just building more highways that don't have enough lanes for rush hour? It's 2020. I mean, people in the 1960s thought that we were going to be on the moon and beyond in flying cars. We don't even put highways underground. We don't even have like automated shipping. We put stuff on trains and trucks. Build a hyperloop or something. Ship cars around. Anyways, that's their plan to fix small businesses. The federal government's coming to help small businesses too. Don't you guys forget. One way to fight inflation is drive down wages and make Americans poorer. I have a better plan to fight your inflation. Lower your costs, not your wages. They added $4 trillion the debt ceiling. I was not coming here to crap on the BBB. It just gives you so much to crap on. I just really wanted to show actual quotes from it. I thought they would write in Old English. I feel like most people would. But one way to fight inflation is drive down wages and make Americans poorer. You guys need to go on YouTube, go to the Hoover Institution, find Uncommon Knowledge, where he interviews the guy that was on the board. I want to say of the Fed, but it's not close. It's probably the central bank. He talks about inflation does not just happen. Inflation happens only by choice of the government. That's our fault. We voted the people in. That's our fault. Okay? Inflation is only a choice. It's only because we keep printing. It's only because we keep monetizing the debt. We keep selling bonds to ourselves. If you don't know, it's just a big loop. And eventually people aren't going to show up for the auction of our bonds and take our debt, which I believe happened in 2008. They tried to issue more bonds again to get money to fight against the crisis and back the banks. And people are just like, we need a minute to breathe. Lower your costs, not your wages. Give us deflation. Stop giving us inflation. We've had enough inflation. Don't even measure it right. The bill he has just signed into law will have the effect of curbing investment in some energy technologies, particularly wind and solar. We have a lot of wind and solar, guys. We put a lot of money into it. It's out there. It's happening. It hasn't been too great. We have added more. China's the best at it. China has more. China has, they have a huge amount of money in the nuclear side too. They have all of the test reactors. We have a liquid salt nuclear reactor, basically like probably a Mark III. They call them stage 3 advanced reactors in Wyoming, of all places. Coal capital of the nation, and that is also not a close race. Wyoming does more coal, I think, uranium than anybody. But we're testing it. But China has huge facilities testing nuclear, and I believe, let's pop up the quick stuff. Where is the most advanced nuclear reactor in the world? I think it's Russia, in operation, commercial scale, just to be sure. I believe it's Russia. I believe they have, let's see if I get in, a fast breeder reactor in Russia running off plutonium. China, high temperature gas cooled reactor, Pebble Bed module at Shidao Bay. Just 2023. Gosh dang it, guys. Americans, we got to get to it. Gen 3 Plus in Georgia, Russia, the fast breeder reactor. If you guys don't know, and this will come up on a later episode, fast breeder reactor has the nuclear reaction which throws off neutrons. We have to start it with fissile material, and then the chain reaction will keep going on plutonium. We get plutonium from older reactors or other reactors. It's the uranium waste. There's waste, and we separate plutonium from it. You don't mine plutonium. If this was a planet where you mine plutonium, we'd be screwed as humans. We don't mine plutonium. We get it from that. So we take the waste. Plutonium is basically a recyclable. So in the new reactor, you start the chain reaction, you run the fuel off plutonium, and then you wrap the reaction somehow in uranium-239, which soaks up the neutrons. It becomes a new element. It decays into plutonium again. So you can get in a super efficient, fast breeder reactor, if you put in 1 unit of plutonium that it runs off of after you get the chain reaction started, you can come out with like 1.2 2 would be like the highest units of plutonium. That's insane. We should do more of that. Super advanced, super high pressure. I doubt that's going to be modular, but on a big scale, if you can just keep the reactor running and you are putting in a unit of plutonium, putting in uranium, and pulling out more plutonium than you ran off of, fantastic, exquisite. We should do more of that. More stuff that we have here. Total gross national debt. That's a lie. Let's see what else. Debt held by the public. This is separate. Insane. 29 trillion. Intragovernmental holdings. Debt per household. Debt per person. I mean, just wait till you go to medical school, guys. Annual increase over the past year, 1.3 trillion. I mean, Trump's really, God, that guy's going to set a record. Congress passed a big, beautiful bill raising the debt ceiling by 5 trillion to 41 trillion to delay. That's what you guys, more delays, to delay the debt ceiling crisis. The bill's tax and spending provisions will add an estimated 3.4 trillion to the federal debt for the next decade. We don't know that. Here's what we can say. If the debt's not going down, we're screwed. Cut all subsidies, cut all tax breaks, not to the people, but like to specific sectors. Put all that money into tariffs. If we're going to do tariffs, all 3 of those money savings should go directly to paying off what we owe. And it'll still grow, but at least slower. Do not go into that dark night. But yeah, they just delay the next debt ceiling crisis. The federal deficit was $316 billion, slightly lower, killing it. Keep that up. Annual deficits remain high due to increased outlays for Social Security, Medicare, and veterans benefits. I mean, truly, veterans benefits should be what we spend far more money on. Not that you just lived in America, you work somewhere for 20, 30, 40 years, you collect Social Security, you collect Medicare. No, you signed up to give your life for this country and serve. You should be first in line by a lot. We should get tax breaks for donating that. If there was a fund where I can donate and it paid out to veterans, their veterans benefits, sign me up. I'll take the tax breaks and paying for the reason that we're here. But no. We pay for people's top surgery instead with our taxes. That's really great. Interest payments. There's going to be a new record. Expected to exceed $1 trillion for fiscal year 2025. Now the second largest government expenditure after Social Security. This is really a downer. I'm going to need an upper after this. Aging population. Not having enough kids. 1/5 of the U.S. economy is spent on healthcare. Inadequate revenues. Taxes does not generate enough to cover existing outflows. I mean, really, if you've ever been there in life, if you ever played one of these optimizer games, if it takes debt to cover your debt, you will spiral into nothing. Game over. It's done. We need energy. If we just had, like I said, so much energy, it was like minutes on your phone. We don't think about it anymore. The borders of what's possible get so much bigger on such a larger scale. I mean, we could put up huge factories that run for way less. I mean, right now, energy's a lot. Like, people spend a lot on their utility bills. Drop it through the floor for everybody would be magnificent. Obviously, I don't think you have to explain that. As debt grows, Treasury must issue more bonds. If supply outpaces demand, bond prices fall and yields rise. So we have to pay out more for people to buy our debt. Guess how much we're already about to spend this year on debt? $1 trillion a year. Anything less than a year. We'll get there. $1 trillion a quarter. We'll get there. Higher government borrowing competes with private investment, potentially reducing capital for businesses, sucking the dollars right out of us. U.S. was downgraded. That made some headlines by Moody's. They basically rate our debt. We went from AAA to what? It doesn't say. Were we even AAA? They've downgraded us before, and rightfully so. Look, and here's what I think. I think almost every country in the world is on track for a major financial crisis. We took the backstops off the dollar, expanded everything, inflated everything. Everybody got high on cheap money, a lot. We had the ups, we had the downs. That we don't even let them correct themselves anymore. I think China's got a debt problem. We have an insane debt problem. China's probably even worse because the government controls everything. But we're trying our best, don't get me wrong. Russia, India, everybody. India might be on the up and up. I'm sure they have a debt problem, but if everybody's going to crash and burn at some point, and you can't really stop that without massively out-inflating your currency to cover your debts, I think we should be first to have the crisis, even though the whole world leans on us, right? We're at the top of everywhere the TP meets is us, especially with financials. Can we get into the crisis first and out of it first? Can we stabilize? If everyone's bleeding out and everyone's going to die soon, potentially, can we stabilize first so we can help everybody else out? World War II again is a crazy statement, but post World War II, rebuilding the world, that was good for us when we were the world's largest creditor. Now the world's largest debtor. Good for everybody else. Sustained fiscal imbalance can trigger a buyer strike, spiking interest rates, stabilizing markets. Like I was saying, nobody's showing up for our auctions of bonds except Warren Buffett. Bless his heart. Hang in there a little bit longer. We're going to need our hero, really. Our hero really is just Warren Buffett. And just, if you don't know, he's the number one buyer of treasuries. So he's buying more of these than anybody else, including governments. That might be the coolest thing anybody's ever done, if you're me. Investor confidence. Sustained fiscal balance trigger buyer strike. Yep. Frequent debt ceiling debates and large unfunded policy changes. Yep. Current direct trajectory. It's expected to shrink the U.S. economy by $340 billion per year, eliminate 1 million jobs, and reduce private investment by 13%. It's good time, folks. Don't hold on to your dollars. What to watch? Interest rate moves. Yep. I mean, that's really if you want to induce a pregnancy, or in this case a crisis, it's the interest rates. You spike them, you throw the crisis into gear. It's like out there in the future, you just bring it closer. It's like what advertising does. All advertising does is bring your future business forward, people that would buy. And if we want to do that, it's in the interest rates. Legislative actions, further tax cuts, pending increases, or fiscal reforms that alter the debt trajectory and market sentiment. Yeah, boy, it's a good time. National debt moving up. It applies to everybody. Take a look at some prices here. Let me get my watch list, please. No, we'll just go to super charts. Oh, looks gay. I'm going to stick with that. What are we at? 3 months, 3 years, 29%. That's the junior miners gold. Absolute killing. I actually sold some gold recently. Is it like physical gold? They're showing us down here. Inflation rate. Well, that's actually quite handy. I have a few technicals on here, but out of the point. 3,300. I'm going to hit 3,500. I mean, guys, if you just had gold, I mean, look where I was putting stuff on here. 1,800. Oh, it was beautiful. The yellow metal. I mean, it still is. I mean, look at this. It's exquisite. I love it. The dollar, I think we're making a couple of year lows here. We're talking about silver, too. Right now at a 99 handle. I mean, we were up at 114. I mean, we're down at whatever. Look at that. COVID right here. So let's say COVID, we hit 90. And now we went from 110 to 101. The DXY, the dollar change. Value of the dollar is probably not the right way to phrase this. It's just a measure of the strength of the dollar, basically. You basically just want it in a straight line. Higher dollar strong. You don't want it too high. Lower dollar is weak. You don't want it too low. You just keep it flat. If the dollar was behaving as stable coins do and it just stayed there and expanded with ideally the growth of the gold, I mean, that'd be ideal. 25. And look at these comparisons. 124, we did pretty good. We ended not too bad, but I mean, just trailing off. Nuclear companies, small modular reactors. These guys don't really have any revenue, as you can see there. Annual income net, only spending 10. I mean, 10 million these days. Think about all the trillions we just threw around. That's a good time. Small modular reactors, that could be something in the future. Gold mining, Silver Corp. Silver's been fantastic. And getting himself out of a hole. These are just random companies we're looking at. Largest gold miner in the world. Success on that. I mean, folks, utilities here. See, I told you, utilities, energy. On the crazy ups. I mean, prices are just growing up. See what the price of everybody's single-family homes are doing. Have a great time. It's super fun. I'll pull these numbers before next time, but Apple, buy signal. Let's get some performance on Apple. Yikes. Lastly, we'll end on Tesla. Guys, these used Teslas, I mean, they're out there and they're not looking too bad these days. You're up if you had it for a year or 3 months since the robo-taxi came out. Thanks for watching. Trying to get some sleep after all that wonderful news. Stay frosty, folks. Thanks for coming back for another episode. Don't worry, we'll have some lighting, some actual cameras and stuff soon. I have it. It's just got to get set up at some point. But I just need to make a video and get it out there. Thanks for coming. Have a good one. Stay frosty.